All right, guys, welcome back. Here we are jumping into another match here that's currently going on, actually, as you can see. So we're about 17 and a half minutes into this one, so a little bit further in. But welcome back to our European Open qualifier coverage for the Kiev Major. As we do see, Pikachu here on Ursa, by the way, going to just tear through Disruptor right as we join into this one. As he got his combo off at least, but not nearly enough to stay alive right there, of course. Underlord also getting caught. Illuminate coming through as Nick set this up. But that mech even going to keep him alive for a little bit longer, but as soon as Ursa follows it up, no chance for him. So yeah, jumping into this one, we have what Team Hive is going up against. I don't know who the team is, I guess, but
good question.
Yeah, so
I should have looked that up.
So who is, we mentioned Hive was on the Dire side. Okay.
Correct. Let me see who's on the Radiant. Team GOVERAL. G-O-V-E-R-A-L.
Oh, the Morphling player's name, I guess. Okay.
Ah, okay.
I feel like that's a cop-out for a name. It's just like, we got a player on our team, let's just make it his team. Like, so
maybe he's the most notable. Maybe in his subset community, everyone's like, oh snap, we're playing against Team GOVERAL? You gotta be careful.
Oh, watch out for that guy. Yeah.
But Hive, some people are probably familiar with.
Yes.
Pikachu has, I believe he's their solo mid, and Fervian I've seen before as well. And so those are the two heroes that I recognize. I mean, the two players that I recognize.
Okay. Anyways, as we're jumping into this one, though, obviously we do see it's looking like Hive is in a pretty good spot. We're only about 20 minutes in, but they already have a 10,000 net worth lead and almost a 20,000 or 15,000 experience lead even. So. Yeah, jumping into what would need to be a comeback for sure, as I'm missing kills left and right, because down here it just happened so quickly. Gets the kill onto the Disruptor, and now Morphling's trying to take it with Witch Doctor.
Nice.
Yeah, he needed to get out, though, ASAP, and he does, but that damage from Ursa, though, man.
And they get the hook onto Pikachu, gonna get that kill, but it's an Aegis only.
Oh, okay. Nice path put down. You see
Meanwhile,
Port coming in from Morphling. There's a fight breaking out top lane, but I'm watching Pikachu right here. Oh, yes, he's going to go down, but yeah, up here they do kill Underlord, it looks like. All right, well, there's not afraid of action here in this game. We're jumping into.
I think the common trend that we're seeing is all the more higher skilled teams, they're not actually, like, it all comes down to playstyle, obviously, but we're not really saying, like, let's out-farm the opponents into the ground. We're like, these less experienced teams, they can't handle this kind of aggression that we can present. Nice Blink Dagger. Nice hook to save the Disruptor, though.
Yeah, he'll live here, but...
Yeah, it seems like the trend seems to be that less qualified teams aren't as capable of dealing with non-stop aggression. Like you said, there's no letting up of the action, and so pick heroes that can fight early. You don't need that much of a head start. You're not seeing like any Medusas or any other real late game carries being picked by these teams. They're playing high intensity heroes that are very active early on.
Almost like the mindset of a pub stomp, you could say.
Exactly.
They're kind of going for it, but they just trust their skill level being that much better than the other teams, and that in itself is going to carry them through. And yeah, no, we've definitely been seeing that trend, as you mentioned, with the Sing Sing and crew over there, and now these guys in Hive, no doubt have to be one of the more favored teams. So there's a couple other teams that come to mind. As we are getting down here again, I don't know, I think this could be a round of 128 matches as well. So we are starting to get down into the nitty gritty of things, and ideally get closer competitions, but overall it's been pretty big stomps throughout the day here in these open qualifiers, as been kind of expected with some of these matchups here. But as far as the lineup, I kind of still breaking it down. I know we're 21 minutes into the game even, but you look at the lineups. I mean, this Radiant draft, it seems like it has potential. It's just, it's kind of a funky mix. They have a lot of late game that they really wanted to farm a bit on the other side, and obviously the Dire built around this lineup where they want to be aggressive with the Ursa and the Nyx, and that's clearly caused issue, it feels like.
Yeah, I think one of the most telling things I've seen is like none of the favored teams have been picking like Invoker or these other type of team fight oriented heroes so much. It seems very pick off heavy, and now as we see Ursa getting a pick off.
Jeez. just Underlord melts. That's usually a tanky hero. He has a mech, for Christ's sake. And he just got like 4 or 5 shot by Ursa. Down goes Invoker. Morphling obviously picked off prior to that. Yeah, that setup was beautiful, really. I mean, Punch was initially setting up in a spot to make a play, but clearly they get jumped first, and it's just victory for the dire side in that fight. Oh yeah, it's yeah. I definitely see what you're saying though. It's really just these competent teams. These not competent, that's probably the wrong word. These teams that again they feel like that they are the better teams. Don't waste time with some long drawn out strategies. Just get ahead early and win the game from there. You're seeing so. Ursa's definitely good at that, and now he has a basher on top of that diffusal blade. Ouch. Speaking of another hero like Mask of Madness, we saw that earlier. Is that an item that could be? I guess not anymore. Maybe with the silence, kind of took away.
Yeah, with the silence, it's not really that great because you would need to be able to pop Enrage kind of on demand whenever you started getting low. And Ursa has pretty high passive armor, and so in terms of that debuff, Ursa can kind of deal with it. But being able to not use Earth Shock when you get close, being able to not use Overpower, it's kind of a difficult proposition to go Mask of Madness on him.
Yeah. So, but Basher, very good on him, of course. Help him with that lockdown, and he does have a BKB in the works to assist as well. Morphling, he's going for the shotgun build. He does have the Ghost Scepter here, but that Eagle Song is a ways off at this point, so will be useful, but...
Actually, most of the time you really hate having to go for the Ghost Scepter first as a Morphling, but in this game it's actually not that bad. You get to just mitigate Ursa's... you basically forced Ursa into a very early Diffusal Blade to deal with the Ethereal Purge. Oh man, that hook almost connects. And you don't get that much agi, but at least you get some stats. So it's not that bad for Morphling to have to get forced into it this early on, but like you said, he's still miles away from the shotgun part of it.
Yeah. Coddle will push out the top lane meanwhile while they're being distracted down there, and obviously you do see Coddle has that ag, so it's done very well. He actually recalls Ursa to the top lane, and they just melt Invoker yet again. That recall, very good map movement on the part of the Dire here. And middle lane, oop, that's an awkward impale. It's not the easiest ability to land, to be fair, but definitely quite the whiff right there on Morphling. So he will manage to be fine. I feel like... Go ahead.
I just hope that these early brackets don't encourage bad habits from the teams, because in qualifiers past, I've seen teams like run these real face roll drafts, and they get kind of comfortable. And once they start having to play other teams that know what's going on, then they kind of have that previous mindset of like, well, we drafted this thing earlier that worked out really well, but it worked out really well because you were playing against a team that's not very experienced. When you have to go against more experienced teams, then it's an entirely different ball game.
And yeah, in the open qualifiers, it can be a little risky. Again, we talked about the most perfect example is just one that happened last night / early in the morning here. Is eHome over in the China region. They got knocked out by what was apparently a Smurf team of sorts. Again, frankly, I still think that doesn't matter. They should win that game, but maybe that did catch them off guard. Maybe they weren't expecting that, and they didn't find out until after. It's like, oh, wait, these were actually pretty good players. So you do have to be careful, again, being kind of these more experienced and better teams, at least in your mindset, that maybe you're not always playing against inexperienced players all the time, even in the earlier rounds. But as it does start getting the later rounds, you would hope for their side that they definitely start clamping down on that for sure. If anything, just to be safe. But yeah, for now, clearly the better spot here for Team Hive here on the Dire side. A Morphling again going to get caught here, but I think this time he should be fine. Oh, maybe not. The Nano League doing some work. Blind Line push back. He recalls in Ursa once again. He gets stunned immediately, but it's not going to matter. Although the hook back, and now Ursa, he's not going to be dead by any means, but they're keeping Morphling alive is the big story right here, but it's just for a little bit longer. Man, he just stayed on top of him that whole time. How do you get away from this guy? It seems impossible. Oh, well, they kill Ursa. There we go. That's Sunstrike helping there.
Yeah, and Pudge denies himself, so in the end, there are still 3 heroes dead, and this push is still continuing, but again, no team likes GGing out, it seems. Everyone will fight to the bitterest of ends.
Yeah. Yeah, best of 1 format, like I said, we'll definitely do that, especially when you know that you are maybe the lesser experienced team coming into it in the first place, so... Yeah, not expecting GGs, and you know what, in this case, they do have their racks, obviously, still good to go. So understandable that they wouldn't want to be doing that, but Morphling, he still has a little bit of work to do before that shotgun's finished of the Blade here. Invoker, how's he been doing? Okay, I guess he's almost got an axe finish, which is pretty good at it with the Yules as well as the Hand of Midas, of course. So Invoker's gonna continue to be a little more useful in this game as we pick up here. Haven't seen the Dark Rift used just yet from Underlord, but that's where the makeup doesn't really, it's not like the greatest for going aggressive with the Dark Rift. It seems like it's more of a defensive tool this game.
Yeah, especially because Coddle has Ag Gem up and running. They have no vision on the map whatsoever, so any hopes of Dark Rifting are going to be back to the fountain. If you're going out onto the map, you're probably going into your doom.
Speaking of Doom, that's a hero that we've been seeing bits and pieces of lately.
It's true. That talent for the GPM, it's so strong.
Oh,
but again,
yeah.
seems like the trend seems to be get heroes that can do stuff early on. You don't worry about mid to late game. You just get to that point after you win the early game.
Yeah. I've been watching a bit more of the North America region, with, me being North America myself and doing the time zone and everything, so I feel like over there it's at least been seen a bit. I don't know about the European side of things, if he's been as prevalent, but seems like he has been making a little bit more appearances.
Were you seeing a lot of Underlord when you were watching China? Because I know Underlord is much more favored in China than it is in Western scenes.
When I was bouncing around again, I wasn't watching too much last night, but I don't really recall seeing much Underlord, to be honest, but might have been banned, to be fair, so I'm not too certain.
Right.
Wouldn't surprise me. He's another one.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I like seeing, how much open qualifier metas mirror the professional metas. In the European scene, it seems pretty similar. No teams are like, aside from that one Arc Warden game, I really haven't seen any unprecedented picks yet.
Yeah, that game.
And I think we can see why based off of that Underlord game.
Yeah.
I mean, based off that Arc Warden game.
I guess we did our Broodmother in the last game, which isn't the typical pick, but worked out beautifully for them as far as how the game went. Nyx Assassin, I also wanted to bring this up earlier too. Nyx, for a while, that when I was first breaking out the scene about 6 months ago, I felt like we saw the Ags Nyx quite a bit. The Ag Scepter, like, it's such a good ability on him, or item even, but I mean, lately we don't see a lot of Nyx, to be fair, but it seems like we see more of this, more that you get the Blink Dagger, more of the utility support items rather than rushing into the Ags.
Yeah, this was one of the original builds for Nyx. Well, I guess the original one was Dagon, but then Blink Dagger Yules became very common. Ag started getting picked up because it was really good, and it has been since nerfed. Originally, the Burrow had... Oh, Coddle gets hooked.
That's a good start. Can they save him by any chance? No, they cannot. That's a gem, too.
Very nice. This Pudge has been fishing for a while. It doesn't even have an Aether Lens. Those were just vanilla level 4 hooks. But yeah, so Nyx Assassin originally had a really good Ag Scepter by the Burrow being either instant or close to instant, and the Unburrow being instant or close to instant. Actually, I think the Unburrow is still instant, but now Burrowing has a cast animation. And the reason that was so good is because you could basically blink, Burrow, and then Carapace, and it would be like a Slardar Crush style initiation, because the Carapace when burrowed is AoE. Then it got a cast animation, and it became like not nearly as viable to pull it off, and Nyx just completely fell off after that nerf. And now he's kind of re-emerging as a pretty good offlaner. He has really nice passive regen, higher than most heroes, so that makes him stay around in lane easier, and he's still really good at just vendettaing around the map and getting kills.
Yeah. Man, we have not talked much about this Weaver yet, but he is topping the net worth chart by quite a bit. 23,000. He has a full-on Mjolnir, a Lincoln Sphere, a Hurricane Pike, and
Scotty.
Is that a Scotty being delivered? Yeah, it looks like it. There we go. Jeez. He's got the farm. And then he has the Butterfly to finish things off queued up at least. Middle lane, meanwhile, Ursa. He's constantly trying to jump this Morphling. I mean, he's really putting a lot of damage to it. Not enough for any kills, though.
Oh, that glimpse means that the Sunstrike doesn't connect. He might still get the kill, though.
Oh, God. No. Nice force staff. I mean, he had an Aegis, but still, we don't have to use it. You would rather not. So he'll limp around here for a little bit. Ursa has an Ags queued up, by the way. You wanna remind the chat what Ags does?
I think Ags is really good on Ursa, and for some reason, I don't know. I don't see it nearly as much as I'd like to. But basically, it means that you can cast Enrage to get out of any stun, kind of like a borrowed time.
Okay.
So even if you're in the middle of being stunned, you can just hit your ult and you immediately purge it off.
That sounds extra strong, so.
Yeah, and it also lowers the cooldown of the ult, and
Okay.
so going in on Morphling, but he replicates out.
Oh,
In the mid lane,
gets
Weaver.
hooked in, yeah. That was Weaver getting a glimpse, so not to the spot he was hoping. That was before the hook happened. So if he waited another second right there, he probably would be in their face. But again, he has time lapse. He's a very, very difficult target to kill. He also has 2,800 life on top of that. Now with the Eye of Scotty, so Weaver's not going to be that squishy target that you'd hope for sometimes. He did not get Desolate. Do they have a Desolator, by the way?
They don't.
They don't. That's kind of interesting because both Ursa and Weaver are kind of heroes that you'd almost expect it on either one in some games. So missing out on that,
true.
but
A little bit, it'll slow down their push potential a little bit as well. God damn, this Weaver's level 25
yeah.
at 33 minutes into the game. Oh my god. He did get a
Wow.
Midas, granted, but still, like, that's obscene.
Now that Shikuchi, yeah, look at that. It's plus 200 move speed. It's insane as far as how fast he moves. Yeah, no one's even close. I guess Ursa's level 22, so he's getting up there as well. Is his crazy too? I mean, plus 10 Fury Swipe damage. Is that even good? I don't know. I guess potentially it's
Not.
decent.
It's okay against like super tanky targets, like if you're against a Centaur. And I guess maybe against an Underlord as well, it could be useful. But I think this game he'd probably go for all stats since he blows up targets so quickly. Like you only get like 3 or 4 Fury Swipes before the target dies anyway.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but it almost feels like this dire side could have been grouping up and just going for a mass push, but they really didn't with the Aegis right there. But I guess they are going up against a Pudge, and those constant hooks are annoying to deal with.
Yeah, that's true. Although, I guess now that Weaver's 25, you really have nothing to be concerned about.
Yeah, with his farm, he's going to find Pudge right here.
There's so many Ghost Scepters.
I was just about to say that, yeah, I know. Disruptor has one. Obviously, we got the Blade on Morphling. When the backup buddy got hit by the spiked Carapace stun right there, and the Death Ward coming out, and Morphling is going to fall. Oh, not the trap he was looking right into. The meatball hits a couple of heroes, but it's not going to matter for Underlord. He cannot get away. Kinetic field keeping him. Oh, that was actually his own kinetic field. He just simply could have moved, though. The Bash Brock's coming out, and he ends up falling. Another Ghost Shroud popped right there. This one by Disruptor, but goes Scepter even. As the gem down.
The shotgun.
Kills the Nyx. He was trying to pick up the
gem
gem.
bait. What a gem bait.
The plays are real. Oh, the Sunstrike, but Coddle couldn't run into it because of the kinetic field. However, he is going to get hit by the EMP, but out of mana early anyway, so I guess not the biggest deal. He's brought right back in, though. Another kinetic field on top of the Ice Path, but now Ursa's like, get off my bro. He jumps onto Invoker right here. One more auto attack should do it, and Weaver will help finish the job. So, Invoker, he's staying down for 67 seconds. Morphling going to be able to get on out of there with that wave form, but this should be a dead tower here. Really.
Oh, yeah. This Keeper actually has a Blink Dagger, so mana leak is going to be so irritating for all of these raiding heroes. These Ghost Scepters may help them prevent right clicks, but they're still going to have to deal with all these spells.
Wow. Yeah, that makes it an 18-second cooldown, as you were saying, for the Enrage that is for Ursa. But they do hook Coddle, by the way. Force staff not enough, and Ursa dies in the meantime, so he's dead, actually, with 80 seconds resurrection and no buybacks. But, again, Weaver is still feeling very confident. Has that time lapse, almost drops Morphling in the process, but he's going to
I'm surprised Weaver's even backing out. Like, he can... Well, I hope he fights this. Yeah, fight it.
Well, it's like, why not, right? Yeah, Disruptor is completely regretting this decision, although the Dismember... He has time lapse though. Oh, we could get it off actually.
Never mind.
Overestimating.
Okay.
Deathblade burst, man. That's real.
That was substantial. All right. Well, that's a fair amount of gold. That was a 10x godlike streak going into Morphling's pocket.
Yeah.
1,300 gold off of one kill. All right.
Not too shabby. I mean, there's hope at least. Now, again, the melee racks was destroyed, so there is still the victory there for the dire side. Of getting what they came for.
Wow,
but,
holy
yeah.
crap. And freaking Disruptor completes an ag? What the
Really?
heck? How did he get so much gold all of a sudden? He's lowest net worth.
Huh. I guess, yeah, he has brown boots. I mean, he's not even upgrading that, so I guess that maybe makes sense. But yeah, that's actually pretty big because obviously that mutes items now.
Correct.
Well.
And this is we might have a game. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we might have a game.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it's definitely one of the closer ones than we've had today, which again isn't saying much, but
37 minutes. That's it's on the higher end of the spectrum right now in
yeah.
the open qualifiers.
This game's taken ages with the way things have been going here in this open tournament so far. So fun to see a little more closer of a match, but obviously you still got the tire side. As I say, I pulled the net worth. That makes it awkward because 30,000 net worth lead and just under 30,000 experience lead. So yeah, I mean they're still in a very, very, very good spot. The likelihood of losing this game is pretty low, but it's a nice hold, and you can tell the skill level is getting better as we move on to these rounds here. So
that's definitely true.
That is fun to see, but Ursa will continue to farm. I mean, is that Butterfly almost finishing on Weaver? What? Did he buy something else? Okay, you got the BKB actually. That's new, right? Yeah. So he went that instead. I guess that is going to be powerful against this Radiant side, but it mentioned the Ags on Disruptor, so you got to be careful about that. Getting caught by the ulti of Disruptor in that Static Storm.
Yeah, and I don't think I don't know if Disruptor has shown himself yet, but if he goes for a glimpse into Static Storm, it probably won't work because Weaver will just BKB off the glimpse. But if they're just mindlessly sieging the tower, he puts down a kinetic, he puts down a Static Storm, then that could be a huge turnaround because there are a lot of BKBs freshly completed for Radiant. Morphling has completed a BKB, the Invoker has completed a BKB, so they can take fights, and this Roche Pit might be the best to do it, but Ursa takes it so fast.
Oh, there's cheese on the ground, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody better pick that up. Looks like Coddle might be going in to do that. They do catch the Pudge, though. Yeah, they saw the hook attempt. And obviously they know he's here, and they are correct. So they're going to catch him despite the Ghost Scepter trying to stay alive, but good pursuit.
And he drops the gem as well.
Ooh, and he doesn't have a buyback on top of that. Yeah, so that's actually, and he's kind of been the one that's been the bane of pushing into the base because of those constant hooks. So here's an opening now for sure. Oh, Morphling middle lane. Could be in a lot of trouble. Weaver gonna run him down. Puts the swarm, but obviously has the replicate, so he's good. Pudge should be back up by the time they actually push here. Is Nyx getting recalled? Yeah, he is. Good. Gonna bring in the Nyx and go for what could potentially be a finishing push, depending on how well this goes. You see the Basher from Ursa. It's currently in the backpack because of the Aegis. But he'll put that back on himself as soon as the Aegis is used, if it's used, of course.
Yeah, now we do see the Ag Scepter on Nyx completed. It's really useful for sieging and both ends of sieging, actually. Like, if you're the defending team, Ag is very useful as a Nyx assassin to be able to put out long-range impales, and obviously if you're the sieging team, same case, and long-range mana burns can whittle down an enemy team's resources as the siege continues.
By the way, I'm not wrong on this. Ghost Scepter can be purged off by Diffusal Blade, right?
Correct. That's why I was saying that Morphling got the Ghost Scepter early on, and usually you hate it, but you forced Ursa into having to get an early Diffusal Blade just to purge it off.
Gotcha, okay. Yeah, so you see the charge is down to 2 right here. Most certainly, most of those have been used to get that, if anything, as that hook only hits a creep, unfortunately. Now they know he's there. Pikachu jumps in. He's like, I'm going to hunt you down, baby. There goes the Ghost Scepter in the background, trying to stay alive. Oh, the big impale coming out from the Nyx. Meanwhile, hits 4 heroes, I believe. Disruptor gets the Static Storm down, but the BKBs are already up, and the damage is real. Pudge and Disruptor will fall. You see from a distance, Invoker keeping that distance. Morphling, though, has to quickly use that waveform out, as he was getting low right there, and I don't think he would have a buyback, actually. So needing to keep his distance, heal on up. The Shriners pop, Underlord thrown in the air from the Yields, but takes a stun immediately as he comes down with a spiked carapace. But they don't care. You know what? They want to get the racks. I love seeing this. We see teams so many times get tunnel vision.
Ooh.
And does throw. But yeah, the bash right there on a Morphling coming out. Now Morphling in trouble again. He doesn't have a buyback. If he dies right here, he is dead, and he's staying dead. That could be it. Too much to handle in the end, and that's going to be a second set of melee racks at least taken out. And they're going to go right to the middle lane. So, yeah, I mean, this Weaver is just insanely farmed. 3,000 life on him. He actually is going to change his mind even to a Satanic right here, which, like, it really matters, but why the hell not?
Definitely one of the tankiest heroes I've ever seen at this stage of the game. But this is, we didn't catch the earliest part, but Pikachu was making a ton of space on this Ursa, so Weaver was basically going uninhibited, and so it's not surprising why the Weaver went for a Midas, and it's not surprising that he's as formed as he is, but he is caught into an Ag Static Storm,
That's an opportunity, but the follow-up damage is obviously pretty low. Like, get the Lincolns off there. It's a dismember, but there comes the BKB in the time lapse, and it's almost like a false promise of sorts. You think you may have something going, and it's like, nah. He was fine all along, really. Pudge actually going to live a little bit longer and play Distractor, but obviously we're in that overtime phase now. It's just a matter of time either the GGs are caught or maybe just finish the old-fashioned way and get the Ancient destroyed. But it's going to be a victory for what is Hive over here. Again, one of the more known teams, at least, in the European Open qualifiers. And perhaps one of the more teams that we expect to at least get something like in the top 8, if not even further, depending on how they are able to perform here. But, you know, they played very solid in this game, as a little bit of that we saw from about 20 minutes or so on. So I guess just a little more than half of it, as that's not solid play. There's a diving in the well. But he buys back, so he's fine. Anyway, so this one's going to be over now, and again, we believe that this was a round of 128 matchup here. I want to say, let's, it's not finding Hive for me, so I'm not sure, but... Is this around 256? No. Wasn't either. It's hard to search on this bracket sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
To really be certain in terms of where they're at, but...
Well, I mean, there are like a ton of teams, so it's not too surprising. It'll be very easy to search through the NA brackets, that's for sure.
We were talking about that earlier. NA, they only had like just over 100 signups, I think, which is still, it's not bad, but obviously you got Europe having over 800, I think it was, for just this region, and every other region has a significant amount more, I believe, so. Okay, there's one here. God, I would love to cast Pro Dota. I want to see if there's a chance.
Yeah, I keep control F'ing them every single time, and they're just never playing for some reason.
Oh, PD Game, here we go. It's configuring.